I just got a notification saying that they're having a problem on Facebook. Hello. This is probably going to be streamed on YouTube. They're having a problem on Facebook. It said it said they're trying to connect it. We're having a problem streaming to Facebook. And maybe an issue on Facebook. Send. Oh my God. All right, hold on one second. It says to add, to delete it and then re-add it. Hold on.
Okay.
Sorry, folks, if you're out there watching. I'm just trying to reconnect this to Facebook. Facebook, of course, is having an issue. So let me edit this. Get rid of that. All right, and then I'm going to add it again and see if it does it. All right, let me see if it connects now. Okay, we'll start this over.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Rockin' for God with Lisa Marie Nicole. And I'm Lisa Marie Nicole, and I have a very good show for you tonight. And my special guest is Linda Marks. She's on right now. Welcome, Linda. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks so much for having me. It's a real privilege.
That's great. Let me put this volume up a little bit. Is there any way you could turn your volume up a little bit?
I'll have it at the top of what the phone can do.
Okay. Let me see.
It's as high as it goes right now.
All right. Let me turn mine up a little bit then. Okay. So your profile on Facebook says that you were a singer-songwriter, psychotherapist, social architect, heart facilitator, WIMG-CO founder. And can you please elaborate on all this stuff and tell us where you're from first?
I'm from the Boston area. I live in Waltham, Massachusetts, and I certainly do a lot of different things. One thing I wear around my neck is this, which is a heart and a G clef, which is sort of the core of who I am. And music and what I do as a mind body psychotherapist come from the same source, the heart, and they're both very spiritually guided. So I've worked in body psychotherapy for most of my adult life, and I have quite a story about it. I can say how God chose me to be a healer, which is part of my path. Sorry that the kitties, I have a 2-year-old and an 18-and-a-half-year-old, and they're playing in the background. And you might hear
kitties.
You might hear their background noises. They make cameo appearances. So I work as a mind body psychotherapist with individuals, with couples, with families, and I love to do that. And
That's
I've
great.
been a singer-songwriter since I was very small. I couldn't talk till I was 3, but I would go find every piano I could put my fingers on and start playing and writing. So I would say music was my first language, and it's my native language. And then I eventually learned to talk because it's necessary. In terms of social architect, I've always had a vision of what's needed to bring people together. I write a lot of songs at the heart of our times, and when I see that something is broken, like we're living at a time of a huge political divide right now, and there are countless issues that are taxing most of us, and that therefore songs come forward. But I also have founded initiatives, artist alliance groups, nonprofits. I do benefit concerts. So I try very hard when there's an issue to try to make a difference. Right now, I'm working on a project related to domestic violence called the Sanctuary Project that we can talk about, but that's just one of my current ones. In terms of the WIMG, that's one of the artist alliance groups I founded. It's called Women in Music Gathering. I think I founded it in like 2017 or 2018, and it was in recognition that women artists go through some different experiences than male artists, and trying to balance all the different roles that are important to women, including relational roles. It's very hard to do that, whether you have older parents, whether you have children yourself and you're in the middle of that sandwich, whether you just plain care a lot about relationships. That isn't the way a lot of industries orient themselves. And if a person's going to be a touring artist, it's impossible to take care of the different people in your lives. So many women sacrifice their relationships if they really want to follow the path. Others have interruptions. I had a multi-decade interruption in my music career because my now 28-year-old, I raised him as a single mom when starting when he was 2 3/4, and there was no way I could be a single mom with no child support and take care of my son properly and be out there very much as a musician. So until he turned 12, I couldn't really get my foot back in. And even until my mom died, which was 10 years ago, I couldn't give it 1,000%. So that's Women in Music Gathering. It was created both to support women of all different ages and also to collaborate together. And we've done a lot of benefit concerts together. So that's what Women in Music Gathering is.
Okay. Can anybody join that? Any woman join that?
Well, here's the interesting thing about the pandemic. Before the pandemic, a lot more things were regional
Mm-hmm.
because we'd meet in person and we would also do shows in a particular area. So if someone was in, say, Alaska, they couldn't come to our in-person meetings and it would be hard to be in a show. During the pandemic, we became more virtual. And at that point, yes, a person could be anywhere. More recently, the group has sort of lost a lot of its juice because it really liked being an in-person group. And even though we did a benefit concert last November, in fact, it's where the domestic violence work that I've been doing started. Since then, there has been less energy for the group because I think, some things translate well to virtual, other things don't. And a counterpoint is the International Singer-Songwriter Association Boston Northeast chapter. Since I founded that during the pandemic, since we have monthly meetings on Zoom and we do some live shows, and we actually have quite a few of those. We also have a speaker series which is done on Zoom. That makes it easy for anyone to be anywhere. And because the group founded that way,
Mm-hmm.
people don't feel like the energy is draining by doing it on Zoom. The people that want to perform, we figure out, shows. And so far, we've got a pretty broad range within an hour of Boston for the different shows we've been putting together. So it's very different if you had an in-person group that had to sort of transition to Zoom and then hybrid. And then people don't feel so good when the world has changed compared to a group that starts when everyone's grateful that you can do Zoom and when you can
Mm-hmm.
do hybrid, So anyhow, the Women in Music Gathering group is not as active as it once was.
Well, it sounds great. I mean, I understand exactly what you're talking about because I think every artist out there took advantage of social media and Zoom and StreamYard and
Hmm.
every other thing there is during COVID. I know I did concerts almost every week during COVID
Hmm.
online, and I know a lot of people have. So it just kept going, and I noticed that it carried on, and it's great for people that are all over the world and
Yes.
people that are handicapped, that can't leave their house, that don't drive, even people that are at work, people
Yep.
that do things, they can watch this stuff all the time and it's always there. So that's a great thing that you're doing. I mean, especially for um, what were you saying before? Lost my mind for a minute. Hold on. For the, oh, wow. I'm listening to everything you said. I'm just
Hmm.
getting over a really bad headache before, so I think that's what it is. It was for the ah when you hit somebody. When I
Domestic
can't
violence.
domestic violence. Thank you. I couldn't get out. It was like it's there, but I can't say it. The domestic violence. I think that's great that you're doing that for people because they
Hmm.
really need that.
Yep.
And the what are you doing with the heart facilitator? You work with
Well, I that relates to the body psychotherapy, and at times I've also done a lot of workshops. I had a school training body psychotherapist for quite a number of years as well, but helping people learn to slow down, step back, get grounded, to listen to their bodies and follow their hearts, because we have a very cerebral culture. One of the pieces about that is we have a very emotionally unsafe culture, and
Mhm.
when people feel emotionally unsafe, the body and the heart are very vulnerable. So people dissociate into their heads where it's a lot harder to be hurt. So many people walk around in their heads and they're very disconnected from their feelings and their bodies. So creating a space of emotional safety is a foundational piece to help people connect to their hearts, to really gain the wisdom from their body, and to have a sense of life that's authentic, to have a sense of life that's purposeful, to have a sense of life that's spiritually infused. It's really important to be able to connect to our hearts.
Definitely. That's great that you're doing that. And you're right. And yeah, Shadow said stress can kill. And that's, I understand.
Yes.
Believe me, all of us do. I think in this world today,
Hmm.
it's just so much going on with everything, and trying to, trying to live in general. Just it's
Hmm.
expensive for gas and everything in this world, and it's stressful for a family to make it today.
Hmm.
And it's great that you're doing all of this stuff to bring awareness to all these things, because people need to hear this stuff. There's Yes, that's true. More women need to take self-defense classes. That's absolutely true. Um, I love everything you're doing for women, because I don't think there's not enough things out there for us
Hmm.
us out with, especially songwriters. And that's why I love sticking together. I love all
Hmm.
women, and I love that we can join together as one
Hmm.
and help each other. And that's instead of people being jealous of each other or trying
Hmm.
to be better than each other, women need to be lifted up in this world. And all of us, I think it's
Hmm.
great that we all are there for each other and are friends and everything, and especially in the industry. That's really rough. Um,
Hmm.
Go ahead.
I'm totally with you on that. It's like when we fly together, we all fly.
Mm,
It's really hard to do things all alone. Humans weren't meant to do it all alone,
no,
and and there's a lot about how the world is today. There's a lot about, as you said, how the industry is today, where it's very easy to feel all alone, and it's exhausting and it's painful. And when we do collaborate, when we do join together, when we form artist alliance groups, when we share resources and help each other, it lightens the load and we all fly.
exactly. Um, I wanted to ask you something else. How long have you played the piano, and do you play any other instruments?
Hmm. Well, I didn't have a piano till I bought my own when I was 12 or 13 years old. My
Wow.
first word was piano. I so wanted a piano. So playing the piano before I bought my own piano was a matter of being lucky enough to walk by one and then start
Mhm.
playing it. Or when I was in grammar school, I had a friend named Joanna, and she had a piano and she was a little entrepreneur. So she would charge me money to play her piano. I was this
Wow.
little grammar school kid, and I wanted to play so badly. I'd earn money any way I could and come over with a few dollars to pay, to play her piano. So I would play any piano I could until I bought my own. So I taught myself piano when I was 12 or 13, and I've been playing ever since. Other instruments, yes, because when you have a little girl who all she wants is a piano and you don't have one, my mom was trying to figure out some way to pacify me. So when I was 3, she put me in an experimental free music program at the Longy School of Music. And I had no interest in recorder, but I took to it anyhow. And the program told my parents I was gifted and talented. But my father, unfortunately, had the mantra music is a waste of a good mind. He was terrified that musicians can't make a living. And even if that's true, if you are one, you are one.
Hmm.
So it didn't help that I was given the feedback, or my parents were given the feedback to encourage me because I was gifted and talented. So when I was probably in 3rd grade, my school had a free, operative word, Suzuki violin program. I had no interest in the violin at all, but I started to learn it because I had one. And once again, I showed aptitude, but I really didn't want to study violin. And when I was 11, I bought my own guitar because I'd saved enough money that I could afford one. And there was a guitar store nearby that had had a flood and had guitars at very low prices. And I bought an Aria classical nylon string guitar, and I got a chord chart. So I started teaching
Wow.
myself guitar when I was 11, so that when I wrote songs, I had a way to accompany myself. I also, when I was in grammar school, learned drums, and I became the girl drummer in my grammar school band. And that was fun because I've always loved rhythm, and
Yeah.
whether it's snare drums or timpanis
Mhm.
or blocks or all the different percussion instruments, I had a lot of fun with that. But I really just wanted a piano. So I still play the guitar like an 11 or 12-year-old because I got the piano at 13 and haven't looked back. And so whether or not I'm capable of playing instruments, piano is really my instrument.
Well, I know that's hard to play when you first start out because I got a keyboard and I'm just learning. I know how to play some things, but not like a full song. I mean, it's
Hmm.
really it's hard. I mean, every instrument is when you first start out,
Right.
that's why they say practice, practice so you make sure you get it. But you're amazing. That's incredible that you could play all those instruments. I don't know too many women that could play all those instruments. A lot. I mean, I know a lot of women do, but a lot of them like to concentrate on one thing, and
Hmm.
they'll play either the guitar or some people play the piano and the guitar and they sing. But
Hmm.
that's great to be able to play all of that. Um, how how strong would you say your faith is in God?
My faith in God is a foundation of who I am as a person. It is foundational. So I would say incredibly strong.
That's great.
And also because when I was 16 years old, I almost lost my life. And by turning it over to God, that's why I'm here. I made a commitment to God to live my mission, which has to do with service. It has to do with being a social architect. It has to do with healing. And music and the body psychotherapy both are wonderful pathways to healing. Because of the commitment I made to God, that has been even more foundational.
I think that's great. Um, it's great to hear how strong your faith is.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And, I'm very grateful for it, even though I wouldn't wish someone to be attacked, by a stranger who tried to rape and murder them as a 16-year-old kid, which is what happened to me. What I'm grateful for is that I had to choose my life. I had to turn it over to God because I didn't know how to escape from that with the tools that I had, and that God did come through and allowed me to live. And I'm so grateful for that has really made me a deeply purposeful person all of my life. It's made me a person very committed to service and collaboration and healing. And ultimately, even though it's a horrible thing to happen, it's given me an incredibly rich life that I'm very grateful for.
I'm really sorry that that happened to you, but you're using that and it's true. A lot of people, something bad happens to them right away, they blame
Hmm.
God for it or they go the opposite direction. But you move forward and you're using what he blessed you with and that's incredible. Um,
Hmm.
I'm going to play your song Love Always Wins right now and then we
Hmm.
can come back and talk about that. This is Love Always Wins by Linda Marks.
Love heals a heart when it's broken and done, stronger than the wind, fire, earth, or sun. It moves our souls, it takes the blame, it holds our wounds, removes our shame. Love rules the world and everyone within. It can never defeat love. Love always wins. It's deeper than hate. It can tear down walls. Love is a balm. It heals us all. For the broken and scared, when all is lost, love is a force that has no cost. It rules the world and everyone within. You can never defeat love. faith is worn, no more life to spend. Your war-torn heart, weary to the bone, it beats with mine. You're not alone. It ends the war when it marches in. It's a driving force. It's your chosen kin. It won't give up when time wears thin. You can never defeat love. Love always wins. You can never defeat love. Love always wins.
That's Love Always Wins by Linda Marks. That is absolutely beautiful. And you
Thank
can
you.
hear that love and inspiration behind that. That's I'm sure you could get that song on all streaming platforms.
It
and
is.
on your album.
It is. And actually, it's on my 2024 album, A Recipe for Hope. And I co-wrote Love Always Wins with my Philadelphia singer-songwriter friend and colleague, Lisa Jeanette. She sings with me on the track. That song has really done so well. You just never know when you write something what's going to strike a chord, but it charted at #1 on the UK Hot 100.
Wow.
This album has done really well and it is still charting, and songs from it have charted, but it's also won a lot of awards. The song was a finalist in the Great American Song Contest, which is amazing because tens of
That's
thousands
great.
of people enter and less than 1% get to that point. So it did. It won a World Songwriting Award. It's up for Best Song of the Year for the Josies, for ISSA. There's so many awards that I can't even keep track of them anymore. It just blows my mind. But apparently there's something about the message of the song that's really right on time. And I'm grateful. I like to write songs at the heart of the times, and I'm particularly grateful when a song really strikes a chord with a lot of people.
I was going to ask you that how did you think about writing this song? Like, what was the inspiration behind it?
Well, it sort of organically grew. Lisa Jeanette and I were both at a music conference, and I talked with her about doing a co-write, and she agreed. And I think I started writing something, with some of the lyrics in it, and I wrote some of the music, and then I sent it to her, and we sort of just sent it back and forth. But the power of love, love being the strongest force in the universe, the hook of love always wins came through, and then just all the different ways that it's powerful, and the way that it is undefeatable. So the two of us very much collaborated. It's sort of hard to remember like how all the pieces went, but I remember I drafted something, I sent it to her, she made some tweaks, sent it to me, we went back and forth and back and forth, and it was truly a collaboration to write the song.
That's great. It's beautiful, and I wish you all the luck in the world with that. More
Thank you.
than you have now. I have a question from John from the Four Persons. He wants to know: do you find that being a person of faith causes you problems with your peers in this psychiatric profession?
Well, it's made me different in some ways, I can say, because when people are just purely clinical, but they don't have the heart and the soul, first of all, I think it's made me much better with my clients because they have a much deeper bond and they get
Yeah.
much deeper care and they know it.
Mhm.
And many people haven't had someone treat them with that kind of care. So they're very grateful. And I'm very grateful to work with people. But certainly it's a different orientation. And one of the things that's been harder is because I'm in a field, body psychotherapy is a really powerful field. I've been an innovator in the field and I've been in this profession my whole adult life. We can't get insurance coverage in 2024 because when I first started my practice a long time ago, because of the validity of the work, because of the results I got with people, I became a legacy provider, an innovator. Like when you're a pioneer in something,
Yeah.
but you get results, people cared about that. And therefore, I was in insurance databases because I was a valid professional. But in the last year, of all crazy things, the world has become so much run by algorithms and bots.
Mhm.
Now the fact that I'm a legacy provider doesn't matter. You know, it's I'm now an unrecognized provider. So yesterday, even a client of mine wrote to me saying her insurance wouldn't cover me as of November because I'm an unrecognized provider, and I had to explain that in the world of algorithms and bots, no one cares that I'm a legacy provider. So because I've chosen a kind of psychotherapy that is psychospiritual and not just, textbook, um, I am not in a position to take insurance anymore.
Wow. I have another question. What type
Mhm.
of schooling and degree is required for this program?
Well, when I went to school, there was no school or degree one could get. So I had to literally learn a lot of different things a lot of different ways. Plus, I also was given an intuitive gift about the power of the heart. When I went to Yale undergraduate, I have a degree in music with honors and distinction as a songwriter, even though they didn't have singer-songwriter programs. It was a classical school. And here I was, the self-taught singer-songwriter with great inspiration. But the chairman of the department was writing Broadway musicals, and he was a songwriter. So we had that in common. So, I still persevered. I actually co-founded Yale's third women's a cappella singing group when I was a 17-year-old freshman, and it's still there. And I wrote and arranged music. I ran a cabaret and had live music and performed. I did everything I could.
Wow.
I there was a piano in the common room. So, for all of that, that was fueling me. And then on the psychology side, I was studying psychobiology, but there was one course called mammalogy where I was going to have to dissect a cat, and I'm holding
Oh,
my 2-year-old Siberian right now, and
no,
he's
that ain't
no,
happening.
I could not dissect a cat. I would not do it. So I was one course away from a double major when I was there. And then what I found though is that the state of psychology wasn't exploring things I was interested in or believed were really important, like spirituality. And there were a few books I found. One was called The Stress of Life by Hans Selye that had been written in the 50s, but he had a whole section about spirituality and God in that book. And I knew that that was really important. And Stephanie and Carl Simonton were starting to do work on cancer and the spirituality and healing of cancer. And I knew that was important. Lawrence Lashan, there were some of the pioneers in mind body medicine were doing their work. So I
Wow.
knew that was more the direction I was interested in, but that you couldn't get a degree in it. There wasn't a graduate program in psychology that studied that stuff. So I actually got a master's in organizational development from the Sloan School at MIT because I've always been a systems person, the individual, the group, and the organization, whether it's the cells of the body and the organs of the body and the whole person and the spirit, whether it's a family system, whether it's an organizational system or society. Many of those principles apply. So that was a very natural place for me to land. And then on the side, I was finding all these little institutes, much like what I created myself, where I was studying different approaches to body psychotherapy or mind body psychotherapy or spiritual psychology. So I studied a lot of different approaches. And there reached a point when I was in my mid 20s when I realized that what I had to add was the whole dimension of the heart, because that's what was missing from everything I was studying, even though I learned a lot from what I was studying. So I started developing my own body of work, which is called emotional kinesthetic psychotherapy. Emotional relates to the heart, kinesthetic is felt sense. So it's sort of the heart body connection. And I wrote a couple of books. I first taught in Europe because people didn't understand it in the US. I eventually, when my first book came out, started teaching in the US. I developed an apprenticeship program that I ran for many years. Unfortunately, um, my son is now 28. He was born in 1996. My school was going when he was born, but unfortunately, I became a single mom when he was 2 3/4, and my ex-husband was involved in the school with me, and that made things very complicated. So I had to wind down a lot of my teaching because I couldn't do everything as a single mom. I did teach at the university level too. I taught a really interesting course that integrated psychology and sociology and allowed people to study different holistic methods. That was really fun when I taught. And I did do some small apprenticeship groups. I taught by an apprenticeship method because I think learning through experience is important, and working on yourself is important, not just book learning, but experiential learning, and working on yourself, because we all have work to do our entire lives. I continue to have work to do on myself. No matter how old I get, I will always have more work to do. So the program was wonderful. And there came a point where some universities did start to offer programs in spiritual psychology or body psychotherapy. Now there are probably some master programs in a number of schools. Naropa in Colorado was one of the first ones, and there was a program in San Francisco. And then I would sometimes come give talks in those programs. And there was a national professional association I helped found in body psychotherapy, and I'd present at the conferences. So it's interesting, when you're a pioneer in something, you don't get the luxury of studying in a program that later people get to study in.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's a lot. I don't know what to say about all of that. That's amazing. You've had some life, man. That's amazing. It's yeah, and like you said, we all have work to do. There's none of us are perfect. We all have to continue to work. There's only one person I know that's perfect. So there's nobody, nobody in this world is better than anybody. I always say that. Everybody is blessed in their own way. We're all blessed differently. We all have different things about us, and we have different talents. We're blessed with different talents. And I always said, if we use it to glorify God, I think that's the best thing in the world. And that's what I try to do every day, and so do you.
Absolutely.
And I know people. And I wanted to ask, I have a lot of questions. What inspires you to write, or who inspires you to write?
All kinds of things. The simplest answer is when something touches my heart. That's what inspires me to write. And I never know what is going to come out of me. Recently, I've written a couple heavier songs, but they're very important. I have two best friends, and one of them has polycystic ovarian syndrome. And unfortunately, that led to diabetes, even though she tried really hard to keep that away, which led to, in January of 2023, having a stroke.
Wow.
And that was really, really devastating. She lives in Indiana, and unfortunately, the stroke was so bad that I can't really talk to her anymore. It's really taken a lot of her away. So she's sort of not really here, but she's not really gone. So I wrote a song called Will I Ever Get to Say, the Chance to Say Goodbye, which is a love song to my friend, my lifelong friend. So that was a very hard song to write, but an important song to write. And in the same direction, I have a singer friend who's incredibly brave. And she right now is dying of lung cancer, but she is very consciously living while she's here. And her message is, it's okay to die. So I actually wrote a very powerful, poignant song in her voice. And all she wanted to do for her bucket list was go to one more Red Sox game with me. I've always loved sports. Even though I'm female, I know a lot about sports, and I follow a lot of sports. I even had a job at Fenway Park when I was a teenager.
Me too.
Yeah, cool.
No, I'm a Yankee fan. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. It's all good. It's all good. Yeah. But anyhow, my friend, she called me up one night, and she wanted me to take her to a Red Sox game. So this song called "It's Okay to Die" is her story in her voice,
That's
and then
great.
talking about her wanting me to take her to one more Red Sox game. And most recently, I've written a very, very powerful song that was very hard to write. It's called "Hidden Bloodlines, Hidden Scars." And it's about anti-Semitism and the way anti-Semitism runs through generations and generations.
That's
And
great.
yeah, and right now in our culture, anti-Semitism is probably as high as I've ever seen it in my entire life. And with the painful, senseless war in Gaza, we also have a painful, senseless war in Ukraine. With these kinds of things going on, those pull at my heartstrings. So I call it songs at the heart of our times. Sometimes, though, fun things. Like I have a song I wrote called Noah Corgi is the boy from Ipanema. Noah Corgi is my corgi. I can't believe he's 13. He's really cute. Corgis have a big smile. They have a wiggle walk when they walk. It's an adorable song. It's written, like a salsa song. It's really cute. So sometimes I write a song like that just to make people smile. And also, I smile whenever I see Noah Corgi smile. I also wrote a song that's on this album, A Recipe for Hope, called Facebook Songwriters Blues, which is a really fun song. People love that song.
Yeah, I heard that.
And it's a true story. During the pandemic, when I couldn't have an album release show for my home album, I said, okay, I've been doing live streams since the pandemic started, and I'm into my 5th year of weekly live streams, which is hard to imagine. And people from all over the world, like you've probably experienced, they find us, and it really uplifts. So I'm very grateful for that platform. And even though today I played a real life gig and I have an album release show on June 23rd for my album in real life with a real life set of my bandmates, I still do a weekly live stream, just me here at this piano where I'm sitting right now. And I decided, okay, I will do an album release by singing to the tracks of my own songs. Well, I started to do that, and Facebook started to black me out. I was singing to the
Yep.
tracks of my songs. I owned the copyright. I wrote the songs. I produced the arrangements, and they started to just X me out entirely to the point that I couldn't do a live stream. But I wrote a very funny song that's also very true. And, perhaps it's time to write a song about AI now because AI is taking over our lives and not for the
Oh,
best. So,
get it.
so yeah. So anyhow, when you look at what inspires me to write, it's everything and anything, the people in my life, my own experiences, issues that are affecting many of us in our world, just like Sanctuary is a song I wrote inspired by and including words of domestic violence survivors. It's turned into this whole project called the Sanctuary Project. And on June 23rd at my album release show at the Burren in Somerville, Massachusetts, we're going to premiere a video that I made with what I call the global version of Sanctuary. When I first wrote the song and premiered it in November of last year with people from 2 of the domestic violence organizations I worked with on stage with me, because I became aware that domestic violence sadly affects people everywhere, no matter your age, your gender, your race, your socioeconomic background, where you live geographically. Sadly, domestic violence is everywhere. So I put together a global team of singers and musicians. And besides the US, we represent Germany, Greece, Israel, and India. And most of my colleagues are fellow members of the Recording Academy that I'm very, very grateful that I am as well. And I had 2 phenomenal mixing and mastering engineers mix and master the song. So I then got some images from Casa Myrna and Responding, the 2 nonprofits that have been with me since the beginning that help domestic violence survivors. So I have some images from them and some from my own photographs, and have created a video for Sanctuary. And the first milestone in the Sanctuary Project, which has a mission to raise awareness about the roots of domestic violence, to try to create a safer world, and to provide support both for survivors and their families and the GORD organizations that support them. We're going to premiere the video, which I'm very excited about. And the song, the global version of Sanctuary, is being released on all digital platforms on August 23rd. I'm doing a benefit concert for those 2 organizations with Randy O'Neill, another singer-songwriter colleague of mine who also wrote a song related to domestic violence in September 15th at a venue called One Broadway Collaborative in Lawrence, Massachusetts. And October 1st, for the beginning of Domestic Violence Awareness Month, I have a very special live stream I'm putting together, and perhaps some other events as well. So that's an example where something really pulls at my gut, pulls at my heartstrings. And not only does it turn into a song, but it turns into more of a social initiative as well.
That's incredible. I understand because I'm the same way. I understand when you're a songwriter, things just come to you and you look for things and how to get things out in the world to change things and change people and bring awareness. And it's great. And you do that incredible. And it's you by listening to you, you're making me want to do more now.
You do a lot, Lisa. When I see all that you create, you are quite the creator.
Thank you. I know, but it's just making me want to get involved more in that, you know, and what you're doing. It's incredible. But before we run out of time, I want to play your next song, Love Letters in the Sky. So let me play this one and then we'll talk about that. This is Love Letters in the Sky by Linda Marks.
Gracefully you passed, and that is how you lived. In the distance, your glimmer lives on. There's a sparkling in the room by your picture on the wall. I hear your voice, it's a blessing in song. What happens when a loved one turns to dust? Sooner or later, that moment comes for all of us. A person we love will soar up above and watch over us on the wings of a dove. What becomes of all the ties left behind? Are they more than just memories in our mind? Our tears fall like rain. Grief throbs the hearts in pain. We can never ever touch our loved one again. Will I hear you in the rustling of the wind? Will I see you in the movement of the tides? Will each rainbow hold a message you are sending my way? Will you write me love letters in the sky? What happens when your body's in the ground? Will your music be silent? A heavenly sound. Will the spirit of our loved ones grow like seeds? Bring beauty to our garden or just weeds? You'll watch over us. Will I hear you in the rustling of the wind? Will I see you in the
That's Love Letters in the Sky by Linda Marks. That was absolutely that was all your songs are great. I've heard your songs, but that really gets to me. That's beautiful. Who was that written for?
Thank you. I have a songwriter friend, John O'Leary. He and another singer-songwriter friend, Rick Drost, and I ran a singer-songwriter showcase series called The Loop. And during the pandemic, he went into the hospital with COVID pneumonia. And the doctors found out that he had stage 4 non-smoker lung cancer,
Wow.
and he passed very quickly. He was an extraordinary person, a very
Sorry.
special friend. And I literally, when I learned what was going on, I literally envisioned him watching over us,
Hmm.
sending love letters in the sky, because that's just the kind of person he was. So I wrote it for John. And the way I really experienced John when he passed, I had the privilege of singing it at his memorial service. And then another member of my music community, his name is Eric Snake Gillickson. He wasn't as much a songwriter as a song interpreter, but he was like a music historian and an extraordinary person. And he was another person who, when he passed, I imagined him watching over us, writing love letters in the sky. So that's what it is. And in many ways, it's a spiritual song because it asks, what happens when we go to the other side? Are our spirits still in touch with one another? Do they bring beauty to our garden? Do they bring weeds? So it was also a very deep inquiry into that spiritual nature of life and death, in addition to a song expressing my grief and my love for a very special singer-songwriter friend.
Well, you did a great job expressing that. I mean, and I'm sure he's very proud of that. To hear that, it's that's incredible. Um, well, I wanted to ask you, can you tell? I'm seeing how much time we have left. Um, we have time for a couple more questions. Can you tell us about a time in your life where you feel God has stepped in and helped you when you couldn't do it on your own?
Well, the first was when I was 16 and the man tried to rape and murder me.
Yeah.
And I did everything I could, and I had to turn it over to God. And God did step in. And it's an extraordinary story of me having to choose my life. But it was when I learned to listen to the power of my heart, which is what stopped the man from trying to rape and murder me. So that was one time that God stepped in. A second time God stepped in, I used to give a lot of workshops, and I was driving to Rhode Island from the Boston area, and it was in the winter, and on the way home my car just dropped dead. I
Wow.
was lucky that it dropped dead, near a gas station, but it was freezing and snowing, and it was sort of the middle of nowhere late at night.
Wow.
So I called a woman who was staying at my home, which was in Shrewsbury, Massachusetts, near Worcester, Massachusetts. And I asked her to please come help me and pick me up. And I was doing her a favor to let her live at my house because she had nowhere to live. And she wouldn't come get me. She said she had to get up for some work meeting, so she wasn't willing to help. And I was devastated. I sort of fell into the black hole in the soul of the universe, and I called out to God, and God answered my prayer and sent someone who was a tow truck driver who was willing to tow my car all the way from some little town in Rhode Island all the way to Shrewsbury, Massachusetts, in this horrible weather. And he even let me sit in the cab of his truck, which he was usually afraid to do, but he let me do it. And he told me his entire life story, which was an
Wow.
amazing story. He'd had lymphoma, he was in the hospital, he was on his deathbed, and he had a story with God where he said to God, if he lived, he had this dream of opening a supper club, and that if he made it, he would do that. And he actually did make it against all odds, and he did do it, and he learned all kinds of lessons because some of the people that work for him stole. But here, he's rescuing me in this really scary situation, and I have the privilege of learning all about his life and his story and the way God had played a part in his life. So that was a very beautiful example of God stepping into my life.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, you never know where angels walk the earth. Never
Absolutely.
know.
You never know.
I've had several people come into my life and never seen them again.
Yep,
So
exactly.
you never
Yes.
know. It's but that's great. That's another song we could write about.
Yes, absolutely.
Um, but that's great. I'm glad to hear that. It's I wanted to ask you, how many albums do you currently have out?
I have 14 released. My
Wow.
15th is in production, and I'm writing for my 16th.
God bless you. Um, I know that you were nominated for several awards. I know we're both in most of
Hmm.
the awards together, and it's a blessing, to honor to be with
Hmm.
you in these awards, to be nominated. Um, how do you feel about all these awards, being nominated for them?
Well, I'm grateful. It's sort of a funny thing, and I feel like it's a blessing to be in it with you as well, Lisa. I work very, very hard and with my whole heart and soul. And I've done this most of my life. And I had a couple decades where I couldn't, because as a single mom with no child support, there was no way I could be actively doing music. So I had a gap between what I call part A and part B. So on the one hand, the all the awards and the nominations are a blessing and a degree of recognition for years of hard work. And on the other hand, though, I sort of, it's hard to take them too seriously, even though I'm grateful for them, because in our music world, no matter how many awards you get, it doesn't mean you can make a living,
That's
because
right.
there's no way to make a living. Even to
Mhm.
make my albums, I can't make the money back on the album for what it costs to make the album. So instead, I have to work really, really hard. And hopefully, with the awards, more people recognize the value. But my hope is people would just recognize the value by listening to the music. But there's such a glut of music. Like, I sort of hate the streaming platforms because there are billions of songs and we're sort of in a black hole.
Yep.
I appreciate Artist Alliance Group like ISSA because we get to meet other people. So I get to listen to your music. I get to listen to other people's music. I get to know you. So I'd say even more valuable than awards and nominations are relationships with kindred spirits, because it goes back to what you said. When we know each other, when we support each other, when we lift each other up, that's where the richness is. And, one day I would love to have a Grammy. I would really love to have a Grammy. And anything I get that, sort of increases my visibility, it's only to uplift other people, to bring other people along, to help other people. So that's what, awards mean to me, an opportunity to be of greater service.
I agree with you 100%, because I've had several awards also,
Hmm.
but I exactly what you're saying. They don't get us anywhere. I mean, they give you recognition, but it's not like you're winning $1 million at a contract. You know what I mean?
No, no,
I,
not at
I
all.
listen. I'm not saying anything bad about any of these awards shows. I am
Yeah.
blessed to be nominated this year. We both have several awards we're nominated for, and I'm blessed for that. But
Hmm.
100% right, and that's what I always say. It's mostly getting your name out there and getting your music out there, and exactly what you said with the streaming. Everybody in this industry is losing money because of the streaming platforms. They're killing us. And
Hmm.
it's not like it used to be, the industry. It's, we have to work so hard to get ourselves out there, to get people to listen to our music and to do shows and albums and everything. And sometimes you still don't get anywhere. And,
No.
and I just think it's a blessing to be able to do this. This
Hmm.
this show has been nominated for 3 awards this year. And that is
Hmm.
a blessing for me to be able to do this, to show people who you are, and to bring other people on this show to help other people get out there and show them. So it's not just helping me, it's also helping you and other artists. That's
Hmm.
why I love doing this. And it also includes God. So it would help showcase God, because he's more important than this show or anything else out there. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be doing this.
No.
So
No, and it's the divine thread and the divine inspiration that guides our lives, that inspires our music, that allows for the creative
exactly.
force. So all of us are representative, so to speak, of the power of God.
Oh, exactly. And I wanted to ask you real quick, do you have a favorite scripture?
I really don't. I mean, if I were to have a favorite scripture, it's the Serenity Prayer, which isn't really a scripture.
Yeah.
It comes more out of 12-step work. But I
Yes.
just think there's so much wisdom in God. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change,
The
to change the
courage
things I can, and the wisdom to know the
know the
difference.
difference.
Yeah. There's so much wisdom in that I really, really embrace that.
I think that's great. I This has been an incredible interview. I mean, I know I had the honor of meeting you at ISSA when I did this show, and I had the honor of meeting you and several other people, and we became friends online. And I know we talk a lot, and
Yes.
and I didn't know all these things about you, so I'm so glad that I asked you to come on because, well, you asked me to come on, actually, didn't you? Yeah.
Yes. Because
but
I love that you do this podcast. It was
yeah.
very resonant, so I was very attracted to it.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'm great. And this is, I'm going to share this all over because people really need to know who you are and what you do and all the things that influence you. I mean, I think it's incredible. You're an incredible person. I'm so glad that I met you. And I will pray for you that things go great for you. I'll pray that you win your Grammy one day, which I
Thank
know
you.
you will. You got great music. Your lyrics are great. And I just thank you so much for coming on. I'm just going to do just real quick, tell everybody where they can find you and your music.
Sure. Yes. Well, my website is lindamarksmusic.com. My YouTube channel, which is my favorite place for you to find me, is LSM Heart, LSMHEART on YouTube. And I have everything from I just wrote a song at the piano right here, to studio videos, to live performances, to albums, to lyric videos. I love YouTube that's my favorite place to listen to music as well as put music on. I'm on Facebook as Linda Marks and also Linda Marks Music, on Instagram, on Threads, on X, I'm LSM Heart. So those are all places to find me. And of course, on all the streaming platforms. Most of my albums are probably on the streaming platforms. But thank you so much, Lisa. I'm so grateful for what you do. I'm so grateful I met you through ISSA. I'm incredibly grateful to be part of your show. And you're doing an amazing service through all that you provide through your music, through this show, and all you do in the world.
God bless you. Thank you very much. I'm just going to say my music prayer real quick before we end. Lord, thank you for the gift of music, a universal language that transcends barriers. Help us to use it to glorify your name, to find solace during times of distress, and to celebrate your goodness in times of joy. May our hearts always be instruments playing the melody of your love and faithfulness. Amen. Also, because we had a problem at the beginning, I was supposed to read the Psalm for the week and the month, and I forgot. So we're going to do Psalm 95:2. Sing to the Lord and bless his name. Announce the salvation day to day. And everyone, I'm sorry if the beginning might have cut off. If you're watching this on Facebook, just go back because Facebook had a problem. I had to edit it and go back in. But if you're watching it on YouTube, I'm pretty sure it started right from the beginning. So thank you so much, Linda, for coming on. Please go look her up, get her music, stream her music, buy her CDs, go see her in concert. And she's a great person. And I'm really blessed that you guys, thank you all for watching tonight. And next month, we're going to have on Miranda Rain. She's another singer-songwriter. She will be on. She's also friends with us. We both know her. And she's going to be on next month, July 6th. She will be on. So you don't want to miss that one either. And I just want to say again, thank you all. I am so blessed that this show has been nominated for 3 awards this year, and it's just a blessing. So everyone have a blessed month. And my birthday is this month, June 25th. This is my birthday month. So I'll see you guys in July. So God bless you all and have a good week. And this is Lisa Marie Nicole, Rockin' for God.